recorded. And if you have questions along the way, you can either type them in the chat, or when Rick is done, he's going to have an opportunity where you can unmute yourself and ask away, and he will do the best he can to help us here today. So I'm not going to read Rick's intensive bio because that would take up his whole session this morning because of all that he's accomplishing personally and professionally. But I do want to take a chance to just say a few things about Master Rick Rando. He is class of 2000. He's the president and owner of Kickmasters Karate here in Frostburg. He is a 7th degree black belt. He is an author, consultant, and an empowerment speaker, and he is the voice of Rando Speaks. He is passionate about motivating others and inspiring them to be the best version of themselves. He has spoken to thousands across the country. He's won numerous awards, including the FSU Young Alumni Achievement Award. He's been featured in a number of magazines and is invested in the success of our community. His wife, Julie, is an FSU graduate, and he is the proud father of Lawson and Dylan. So please join me in virtually welcoming Master Rick Rando.
This is how you do it. You put the hands up, right? This is the official Zoom clapping because nobody can really hear what's going on. All right, let me see. I see a lot of postage stamp people sizes today, and I'm excited to be here. So thank you so much for having me. Wow, you know that's a really great introduction, and I really appreciate that, Shannon. And I'm honored to be here with you today, and I see a lot of familiar faces, which is fantastic for me. And I just want to just kind of elaborate on a couple things. If you don't know who I am an alumni of Frostburg State University, a proud alumni, by the way. I've spoken at the Sloop Leadership Institute that Frostburg State hosts, and most importantly, I grew up in Frostburg. So I am a resident of our area. I'm 40 years old, and I am excited to still be living in Frostburg, sled riding down the hills and trying to navigate the frostbite/Frostburg weather. So I'm here today to talk to you about a couple different things, and I don't want to talk at you, okay? That's one of the mistakes that a lot of people make, and they come in and they basically they push themselves upon you, sitting there in your office, at home, in your cubicle, because they don't know you. Well, I've spent my whole life in Frostburg, went to Frostburg State, married someone that was a graduate of Frostburg. I have a mom that graduated from Frostburg, not once, but twice, in a town where my grandfather, Al Vi, worked extremely close with the university. So I kind of can speak a little bit about your culture. I don't know exactly what your day-to-day is, but I will tell you that Frostburg is near and dear to my heart. And one of the reasons why I'm even here today is to maybe speak a little bit of life into what's going on with you personally and professionally over the past year, and arguably one of the hardest years that you probably have ever experienced in your life. You know, I'm reminded of a story that I have when I first started teaching martial arts. So there was a little boy, his name was Seth. His parents called me, it was a Friday night in Little Dragons class, and they called me up and they said, listen, do you have any space in your class for our little boy named Seth? I said, of course, you know, Friday nights would be great. We can get him in. At that point, we were only doing maybe 3 Little Dragons classes a week. Now we do 8 with waiting lists to get in for most. But this was early on in my career, and I figured that after teaching at that point for about 20 years, I was good to go. You know, I was great. I knew exactly what was going on. I knew how to teach kids. And you know, what's another 3.5-year-old? The parents said, you know, I got to warn you, Seth is not like other kids. You know, Seth is a little bit, well, how do you say it? Seth is a little bit, well, he's really a hellion, is what the parents said. And I said, well, you know what? That's my specialty. That's kind of what I do. You know, I take these kids and I make them and break them. You know what I mean? Kind of deal. So yeah, no problem. Bring him by. So 4 o'clock on Friday, he comes a couple minutes early. Seth comes in like a bolt of lightning. He comes running in. He's running all over the floor. He's climbing on stuff. He's jumping on stuff. I escorted him over to have a seat. And I said, Seth, now listen to me very carefully. We're not allowed to go on the floor until class starts. Now, you see that young lady over there? Hey, that's Miss Shaw. That's Amit Shaw's daughter, by the way. Frostburg sort of connection there. said, that's Michelle. She's going to be running your class today. Okay, now listen, it's really important. We have 5 rules, Seth. Okay, when you leave here, if you want to come back next week, you got to keep your room clean. You got to make sure you're being polite. You have to make sure you're being respectful, sirs and ma'ams, making eye contact, not interrupting your parents, following the rules, and making sure that you're at your best. You think you can do that? He said, yeah. I said, in karate class, Seth, we say, yes, sir. And he says, yes, sir. Just like that. I look at mom, I gave her a wink. Mom, elbows husband and say, hey man, this is the guy, right? This is the guy. He's going to break our little Sethy. I knew he could do it. I knew it. I heard such great things. So of course, it's time to line up for class. Okay, I said, all right, everybody come line it up. Everybody comes out, chest out, shoulders back, ready, attentive. A level 10 position is what we call it. Seth comes running out on the floor, and of course, he's making the airplane. Brrr, big circles. He's running around. Of course, Miss Shaw goes over and says, Seth, you got to be standing level 10. This is your first warning. If you're not being level 10, I'm going to ask you to slide back with your parents. Seth stood level 10 just like that, chest out, fall right in line. Okay, Miss Shaw looked back. I looked back at mom, gave her a wink. She's elbowed her husband. Yeah, this is it. This is it. This is the guy. This is the program. It wasn't 10 seconds later, we were lining up and getting ready to go into lines to do some pad work. And it just so happened that Seth sat behind little Chelsea. Little Chelsea was 6, and Chelsea's mom had never cut her hair. So Chelsea's hair ran all the way down her back, all the way down to where her rear end was, and all the way, because she's level 10, cute little blonde girl. And Seth, you could see it. He's right behind her, and he starts, and he's touching her hair, He's touching her hair and touching the curls because he had never seen anything like this before, being that close to such an angel, Of course, back there at that time, we could sit closer than 6 feet, We go back and said, Seth, you got to keep your hands to yourself, buddy. Okay, all right. If you don't, you got to slide over and have a seat. Seth said, yes, sir. It wasn't 10 seconds later. He was taking the hair and twirling it around his finger and sticking it up by his lip as a mustache. Of course, Seth, we stood him up. Sorry, buddy, you got to slide back and have a seat. 1 minute for every year old you are, just like Super Nanny style. So he slides back, he has a seat. We continue with the class. 4 minutes later, I walk back. I'm on my knees and said, listen, Seth, do you understand why I set you down? He said, yes, sir. I said, now you got to keep your hands to yourself, Seth. Do you understand? He said, yes, sir. I said, now if you come back out here, Seth, are you going to be level 10? You're going to be an excellent leader. You're going to be respectful and polite, do the best you can. He said, yes, sir. I said, well, get out of here, man. Let's go. Let's have some fun. He comes running out. Oh, just like that, chest out. At that moment, I look over at mom. Mom's elbow, and dad is thanking Jesus at that moment. Said, thank you for this man who was able to connect with my son and break him out of the chains of destructiveness. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Seth raised his hand, standing perfectly still. I said, Seth, do you have a question? He said, yes, sir. I said, what's your question, buddy? Usually we wait till the end of class to ask questions. He said, Master Rando. I said, yes, sir. He said, I love you, Master Rando. I love you. Just like that. Of course, everybody went, oh, this kid, he's took this kid, this Satan spawn, and he went ahead and he directed him for good instead of for evil. You know what I mean? And just about that time, Seth raised his hand again. He said, Master Rando, I have something very important I want to tell you. I said, what is it, buddy? He said, come closer. So I got a little closer. He said, come closer. It's a secret. I get really close. I'm not this close, to his face. He's right here. And he licked the whole side of my face, just like that. Scooby-Doo lick from the bottom all the way to the top. Chin, the hair, all the way up. And the point of the story is not to make fun of little Seth. In fact, Seth is in his 20s now. Yeah, it makes me feel really old. I've been doing this for a really long time. But the whole point is that I thought I knew exactly what I was doing. And at that point, I was sort of unshakable, unflappable. I said, come on in. What's one more thing? And the point is that pride overtook my impetus to connect, my impetus to inspire. And maybe that's where we are right now. Maybe because we've been doing things a certain way at Frostburg State and we've never been thrown down a gauntlet. Maybe, just maybe, we're in one of those pivotal moments where somebody just licked our face. In fact, that's kind of how I feel over the past year. It's been exactly 1 year since we had to close on the 16th. And I feel like this year, somebody not only licked my face, but punched me in the face and then kicked me when I was down. And if that's how you feel, welcome to the club. Because, you know, this world that we're living in right now, and listen, I don't have to tell you, it's affected everything. Corona has affected everything, but it's slowly changing and shaping the way that we do business in higher education. Because if I can sit on my computer and I can go to any school in the world and not have to go there physically and get a degree from Purdue or UNLV or University of Virginia, that's going to change the landscape of how you market, of how you connect with students, right? Because, you know, they don't have to come to you anymore, at least right now. I mean, that could always change. But I'm just saying, like, the past year has completely completely changed the way we do business, how we interact with each other, how we hug each other, how we fist bump each other, you know? So the whole point of me being here is to give you 5 concepts that you need to kind of ask yourself daily. And listen, I know exactly what you're thinking, because it's the same thing I was thinking when I worked at an office. I'm sitting here and I have to go to this training. I'm choosing to sit and listen to somebody that I don't really know that well. And he's going to tell me all the reasons why I need to do this thing. And then he's going to sell me something in the end. I'm not selling you anything today. The only thing I want to go ahead and connect with you and give you is just a little bit of hope, just a little bit of encouragement, just a little bit of a rag to wipe that saliva off your face, because we all got nailed with it, all of us, and we still are. So the first thing I want to challenge you with is when I go in and I speak to leaders, young or old, the first thing I challenge them is, do you know who you are? Number one, do you know who you are? When you go onto the Frostburg State University website, it says one university, a world of possibilities, right? Are you really one university? All right. Are you one university? Or are we a bunch of silos protecting our ground or hoping we don't get fired? Or are we operating and, you know what, I got to work those extra 3 or 4 hours this week because, you know, that's what kind of Sally's doing over here. And, you know, I don't, you know, I might be low man on the totem pole, so I don't want to get chopped. Are we really putting the student first? I think with your efforts as far as COVID testing, I've been really actually impressed with what's been going on at Frostburg State. You know, we have several students here at the studio. And they're being tested multiple times per week. You know, we're wearing masks, we're socially distant, just like responsible college students that they should be. And that's pretty impressive, right? Because, you know, I can tell you that it's not like that in other places. And we've all been to Lowe's. I don't want to call them out, but we've all been to Lowe's here in our area. And not everybody wore their mask the past year. We've all been to Walmart and we've seen people that just didn't think it was a good idea. Didn't think it applied to them, okay? I call that the shopping cart scenario. You know, you go in, you use the shopping cart, you take all the groceries to your car, and then you've got that shopping cart and you no longer need it. It no longer serves your purpose. So what do we do with it? You know what most people do? They take the shopping cart and they put it over and they put it away for either the next person or for the person that works there to be able to put it together and put it away with all the other shopping carts, right? Well, what do some people do? We know, they just leave it there. You know, so it rolls around in the wind, so it can go over and ding somebody's car just because they were selfish, because they didn't need it anymore. You know, just because we've been vaccinated doesn't mean we don't need our masks. We do, because there's a lady that literally called me yesterday that has not left her house in the last year. And her kids were students here. And she's coming in here in the next month or two. And she wanted to find out, what are you doing to keep me safe, physically and mentally? So are you actually one university? Who are you? What do you stand for? What's important to you? You got to ask yourself that question. And I think we all have in the past year. And what is it? Is it going out to eat? Yeah, man, that's a really good thing. But we don't actually need that to live, right? Is it get a chance to go to the movie theater? That's amazing, but not essential to our growth. What is it that you aspire to be? Who is it that you aspire to be? I know for me, I want my great-great-grandkids to know I was alive on the planet. Because I want you to think back to your great-great-great-grandfather or grandmother. Do you know who their name? Do you even know their name? Most people do. If you're a female, I guarantee you do, because you have better memories than us dudes, okay? I can promise you, we struggle with that, okay? Shopping lists and picking up our towel from the bathroom, okay? We struggle with that. But do you know what they did or who they were or what they stood for? Who are you? Why are you here? Why do you work for this university? Why is it that the students will remember you 20 years from now? Why is it that I remember people like Professor Bimbakis or, you know, Stephen Hartlaub or Professor Twing? Why is it that I remember Michelle Mummer, my very first person on orientation. Why do I remember those people? Why do they stand out to me? It's because who they were and what they stood for. They bled that Frostburg State colors. Do you? That's the question. The second question is, are you in the right herd? So, okay, what do you stand for? Who are you? And have you surrounded yourself with the right people? Are you around the people that are going to level you up? So I was just recently at a speaking event right before Corona season. I was the head speaker, the keynote speaker. They put me at the head table, but nobody had little nameplates, of who they are. Nameplates are important. If you look bottom left, I'm Dylan Rando. Okay, that's my daughter. And hopefully you'll see this very important, that titles don't really mean a whole lot to me. Okay, because I'm here. Doesn't matter what we did yesterday, because honestly, most of you don't care. Okay, but I'm here right now and I'm present. And that was the problem. I sat at that table and everybody kind of talked about how big their boats were and how many houses they had. And there was only one guy beside me that was asking questions. He was actually a priest. So he was sitting next to me. He was going to do the blessing. The big company brought him in, and we went back and forth. And neither priest nor I had a boat or a vacation home, but we were there present. And you know what happened? Not one person asked me a question at that table, that round table, not one. Asked me where I was from or what I did. But you know what? When I got up and I spoke, when I came back and sat down, everybody at that table wanted to know who I was. And I knew that that was not my herd. I was in the wrong table. Put me at the kid table. Put me at the teenage table where we can talk about Fortnite and, TikTok and all that stuff, right? Because at least they're going to ask questions and connect with me personally. The problem is that we have sacrificed who we are for who we're trying to impress. And we're trying to get those likes on social media instead of surrounding ourselves with people that like and love us. I want you to think about that. Are you in the right herd? Or have you surrounded yourself with people that level you up? Or are you sitting at the table with all the people that have the stuff, but they could care less about you as a human? See, one university, to me, just to me, as an outsider, as a semi-outsider, it means that we should all be in that same herd, focusing on who? The student and their experience, and motivating and inspire them. So when they graduate 20 years from now, they're on the same Zoom call or Zype call or Zip Zap or whatever we're doing 20 years from now, 3D holograms in your kitchen, whatever, right? But they're saying and speaking life into you and saying, I remember Shannon Gribble. I remember her. She leveled me up. She inspired me. She made me better. She's in my herd. I have her number in my phone. I can call her any moment. And the first question she's going to ask me is, how are you? And then she's going to actually listen. Do you know who you are? Are you in the right herd? Are you in the right place? And listen to me, if you're trying to make everybody happy, you might want to go sell Girl Scout cookies, okay? Because not everybody's going to like you, and that's okay. It just means that you have one vision moving forward corporately. And it seems to me, as an outsider, that at this point, maybe we have lost that. And it may be not be intentional, it just may be the circumstances. But I promise you, higher ed is changing. And you either evolve or you die. The dinosaurs taught us that, right? The third thing I want to talk about is your attitude, okay? Attitude. We have an attitude of gratitude here. If you want to know someone's attitude, just go out to dinner with them. Just see if they open the door. Just see if they wait to eat, while your steak is being prepared again because they came out the wrong way. How they treat the waiter, how they treat the waitress. Do they offer to pay? Do they have good conversation? Here's the thing. Attitude really is determined by whether you're a taker or a giver, whether you're a consumer or a producer, okay? So some people are what we call energy suckers. Energy suckers are constantly making life about them. Okay, I was Lowe's many, many years ago, and I was in the aisle. If you've ever been to Lowe's, the aisles, they stack between with all the stuff, the shelves of toilets and, Lowe's is great, okay, unless you have kids, and then it's just not a very good place to go. So I'm going through there and I'm picking out some lumber, and then the very aisle adjacent to where I was, there was a mom with 2 kids. Okay, one was young enough to be in the cart itself, so maybe 1.5, 2. The little girl was sitting upright, and then there was another one walking, and I would venture to say that little girl was about 5. And so I'm picking out all my tools, and all I heard was, "I'm hungry. I'm tired. Mommy, is this done yet? Mommy, you said we were only going to be here 5 minutes. Mommy, I'm thirsty. Mommy, I'm cold. Mommy, are we done? Mommy, can we get Chick-fil-A when we're finished? And it was just on and on and on. And I look over, and that lady at that point, she was praying to God. She said, "Dear Jesus, please help me not strangle a child, okay? I am about to choke one. I can't go to jail again." Okay, right? That's right. So I look over at that moment, and I said, "You're doing great." The mom looked up and said, "Thank you. I appreciate, finally, somebody's acknowledging my strife here," right? The problem is that little kid was an energy sucker. He was sucking energy, and we all know those people. You ask them how they're doing, and they say, "Well, I hit every red light on the way to work today. My dog's got fleas. You know, my little kid's got lice. I mean, I'm gonna have to fumigate the house. You know, the toilet doesn't work in the downstairs. My in-laws are coming in," and they just go on and on and on about how life is horrible and it sucks for them, and how they're just lucky to be alive today. Oh, it's horrible. Oh, and then they move on. They don't even ask you how you're doing. Or when they do, as soon as they ask you, they start turning around. They go get their cup of coffee and they look down at their phone. You know they're not listening because they're an energy sucker. And energy suckers, they suck. Let me repeat that. If you're taking notes, energy suckers suck. So don't be an energy sucker. Don't make it all about you, because life isn't all about you. And if you have one purpose and one mission and your one university, who's the focus on? It should be on the student, their experience. Did you stand up and greet someone when they came into your office today? Probably not. Maybe they didn't come in. I don't know. But on the flip side, you've got this energy sucker over here. And on this side, you have what we call fire starters. Fire starters are people, and you all know them, they show up early. My mom, if we go to a concert, which is usually Jersey Boys or something like that, if it starts at 6, she's picking me up at 4:45, okay? My mom is always early. She was born early, okay? She was born, I don't know, maybe 8, 9 months early. I don't know. She was always early, even to this day. It could be a generation thing, I don't know. But what I think it is that she refuses to lower that standard because of an attitude. I don't want to be late. I don't want to walk in after things start. I don't want to miss something, right? Because when I walk in late, that usher, he's going to have to roll his eyes and he's going to escort me down. I have to walk across all those people who are trying to pay attention to the show, right? And then my mom, who I love her and she's in her 70s, eventually she's going to have to go to the bathroom, okay? So she's kind of saving that walk across people later on, you know, before, you know, intermission, you know, to save her. I'm sorry then, but here's the deal. Fire starters are people that don't make it about them. It's when somebody walks in, they don't say, "Hey, I'm here. Pay attention." You know what they say? "Hey, you're here. I'm so glad." Fire starters. There are people that lift up. There are people that make it something bigger than them. They're the ones that do the extra credit even though they have an A. They're the ones that ask you how you're doing. And like I said earlier, they actually pay attention. They know your kids' names and they know their favorite color. Trisha Gregory, who you guys may or may not know, that worked in admissions for all those years. She has sent me more text messages and more little treats and goodies in the past year than some of my actual best friends. That's a Frostburg State tried and true Bobcat right there. Trisha Gregory. Are you a fire starter or are you an energy sucker? Do you light fires? Somebody said, you know, "Man, listen to you. It's like human marijuana." I love that, right? I don't know whether that's a good compliment or not. I've never done drugs, so I don't know. But I will tell you that if I made you smile, if I made you think, then we've done our job today. Do you know who you are? Are you running with the right herd? Do you have the right attitude of gratitude? Number 4, are you passionate about what you do? Are you excited? This is really hard. And it's hard for people that maybe aren't as vested as somebody that's self-employed. I will tell you that during Corona season, we were closed for 3 months. We were mandatory closure. And I would come into the studio every day. I worked 106 straight days without a day off. I was averaging 80 to 90 hours a week. I shot 500 videos virtually for an online platform in 3 months, 500 classes, shot, edited, rendered, uploaded, and shared on our social media platforms, which was through Patreon. I don't apologize for that. And guess what? I did it without getting a paycheck. Not one. I did it without complaining. Not once. I didn't say, hey, this isn't fair. This crisis that whoever created, right? It wasn't my fault. Somebody should be, where's my money? Somebody should be coming working for me. Somebody come and shoot these videos, okay? I didn't look for a handout. No way. I didn't take a loan. Not me. I wasn't going to do it. I wasn't going to ask my mom for money, my barber for money. I'm not going to ask anybody for help, okay? Now, I will tell you this. I run with a great herd. So my herd, they were right there beside me saying, all right, let's go, Master Rando. Let's do it together. And see, that was the saving grace. For me, I knew who I was, so I knew who to surround myself with. And those people all poured in. So we tackled it together instead of by yourself. And that's the hardest part about this whole thing, is that some people, they're by themselves. And when you're by yourself for a long time, it's not healthy. It's not good. You start doubting who you are. You start doubting your purpose on this planet. And that's when big mental issues and problems and challenges really come into play. I've had multiple parents say, you saved my kid's life this year by being open. Those 3 months where I worked at 4 months, and look, I can give you the stats. It was 106 straight days. My family made me take Father's Day off. And then I worked another 36 until my birthday, until I took the second day off. I'm not telling you that because I need a pat on the back. I'm not telling you that because I need you to say, wow, he's a really hard worker. Man, I knew it. I knew there was something about him. I tell you that because I'm passionate about making a difference. I'm not here today for money. I'm not here to pour into you. You know, you guys aren't going to do my sales pitch at the end and go ahead and buy my book and go ahead and sign up for online classes. I'm here because I want to see Frostburg State continue to thrive and pour into the next generation like it did for me. I want you to think, when you get up today, did you get up with the right attitude of starting fires, or did you get up today counting down the days until you can get the heck out of there? I got 2 years and 3 months until I can retire. I can't wait. I hate this place. Well, you know what? Leave now. You're sucking energy from the impetus of what this university can do and what it can be. Attitude's everything, man. And I know you're sitting there. I get it. I get it. It's tough. We are all busy. Some of you guys, like I saw that the teenagers, what they do is they take their phone and they stick it right on the right, and they're watching a new movie, you know, while they're trying to talk to me, you know, while I'm trying to inspire them. I get it. Kids, you got kids, they're everywhere. They seem like they multiply like gremlins, right? And they always need something, right? Listen to me. One of my kids is always awake at all points during the day. I think they rotate shifts or something, and they always need something, okay? This is what it is. What are you going to do? Lay down and complain and cry? But guess what? Most people don't care. Most people don't care that I work that many days, you know, and I'm not, like I said, I'm not telling you that because I need a pat on the back. It just didn't affect you. So you don't care, right? But for me, because the mission is so much higher than just showing up to work because it's more than a job, because what I do changes lives. Little Seth, I changed his life because I did break him. And even though he licked my face, I never kicked him out. The next week, he got better and better and better. And to this day, he always says, yes, sir, how are you doing? And he asks how I'm doing, and he actually listens. That's a big deal. So you got to find your passion about what it is that you're into. And don't let anybody stop you. Not a virus. Not somebody down the street says you're too old. Not somebody that says you can't. That little voice on your shoulder has stopped more dreams and more impetus than anything else, than the virus ever will. Don't limit yourself because you don't think you can. Excite yourself, motivate yourself because you should. The last thing is lead by example. This is probably the most important one. Leading by example is essential. It's essential. There is somebody in your world right now that is dependent on you and is watching you with eyes open, whether you are aware or not. They are excited by your presence. They smile when you smile, and they are mimicking your every word and every action. And it's not necessarily kids. If you have people under you, they are watching how you respond. They're watching how you interact with people. My kids learn from me, 100%. But so do my staff members. So does my mom. So do people in my circle, because guess what? They want my best, and they deserve my best every day, whether I feel like it or not, whether I think they deserve it or not. Leading by example is so important. And I can't tell you, my dad, was a smoker. I mean, my dad lit one cigarette from the one that was in his mouth. I guess he acquired this habit in Vietnam, and he just brought it back. And I think it helped him calm his nerves. I really didn't realize this until later on in life. The tragedy and trauma that he had seen, it was really hard to bring back to civilian life. And, he would tell me, he said, son, don't ever smoke a cigarette. Don't ever do it. And I would see him, and it was really hard for me to say, well, Dad, you're telling me not to do it, but you're doing it all the time. What made the big difference for me is that I would hear the coughs, and I would see how expensive it was. And I would see how it irritated my mom. And I made a promise to myself at a very young age, I would never, ever put a cigarette in my mouth. And I never have. Not even the funky, wacky kind, Never done a drug, never done an illegal drug. I've never smoked a cigarette. I don't drink. I'm just a pretty straight-laced guy. Not judging, just saying that that's the example I want to set for my kids. That's my team around me. You won't find stuff on social media about me complaining about the president, no matter who they are, because they're my president. When you go to work tomorrow, what did you do to make a difference, to lead by example, to light someone's fire, to tell someone in your herd that they matter? Are you with me? Or did you check out? Are you still with me? Are you still listening? Or are we watching YouTube secretly? If you want things to change, you have to change. Simple. One world, right? It says it on your website. Are you really one world, or are you just one person out for you? And that's kind of where we've been the last year. So I challenge you today as I sort of conclude with what I wanted to sort of inspire you with. You are part of someone's story, whether it's a student, a faculty member, a professor. You will be remembered in some way, just like some of the professors that I spoke on earlier. And you know what? You don't even listen. One of the most influential people in my life at this moment is Evan Offstein. So Evan Offstein, I reached out to him several years ago about helping me mentor me of speaking and writing and booking and securing speaking engagements. Like, how do I do that? I don't know anyone that's a speaker, right? Well, Evan Offstein in the business department, he reached out and he's been mentoring me. And every time I call, right, he answers, he picks up. And guess what? I never graduated through business. I'm a poli-sci major, right? I'm someone that never took a business. I've never taken any of his classes. Now, how does that happen? You know how it happens? At Frostburg State University. Because he's pouring into me as an alumni, as somebody that's a difference maker. So I encourage you today, tomorrow, maybe when you click end, make a difference. Level yourself up by raising your standards. Lead by example. Find that passion again. Get up and get moving. If you could do your job for free, would you? I did. My wife and I had zero income for almost 9 months, zero. And I still worked that many days and I still worked that many hours. Didn't complain one time, not once. This is part of who I am. You don't have to be like me. I'm just challenging you. Could you be a little better? All right, so at this point, Ms. Shannon, I will take any questions, concerns, anything else that you want to throw at me. Let me just take a drink of my water. Is that okay?
Yes, it's okay. So thank you so much, Rick. I'll say more thanks in a minute, but I didn't see any questions come in the chat while he was talking. But if you have a question you want to toss at Rick, either unmute yourself, and I'm going to make Rick's head less big on the screen right now. So he can kind of, let me see, I don't know if it actually happened though. Yes, I think it did. So now would be the time to ask Rick a question.
It's really bad when you present and no one has questions, because either everybody is asleep or they're intimidated, okay, by my awesome hair. Let me just tell you, this is store-bought products, people. You can have your hair just like mine as well. And you know, don't be intimidated to ask your questions, okay?
You know what, Melanie Lombardi has put in the chat that what you've said today is very motivating. I would agree with that. So I will ask a question actually, and it'll inspire others to do the same. So you talked, you know, about the energy suckers, and you know, I'll admit that I do find myself falling into that trap myself sometimes in being one. I think some of it's because I'm not always around the right crowd, as you talked about. How do you can you turn energy suckers around? Like, how do you motivate people to not be that?
Well, that's a great question. And there's a couple of different ways to do it. Obviously, one is become the change you want to see, right? Isn't that on your quote there at the Lane Center, right? By that wall that trickles down, huh? I've read it. I've been there, right? Frostburg State alumni. I've been there. You know, become the change you want to see. How can you expect other people to lift up and to pour into you when you're not actually doing that for them? You know, that's the first thing. And the second thing is you got to reverse the suction. Okay. So if somebody is, you know, if you have like a shop vac and something is sucking, right? It also, with one click of the button, it can push air out. Most people don't know that because they're used to using that to clean up spills and stuff. So you got to find a way to connect with that person deeper than just surface stuff. You know, one of the things that my wife is extremely good at, she worked at Frostburg State for 16 years at admissions, along with Ray Blair and some of those other rock stars over there. You know, she was extremely good at her memory, okay? And she could remember things about people that is just staggering, which can be kind of difficult as a husband, okay? Because when somebody doesn't forget when you mess up, then you better not mess up, you know what I mean? It's that raise that standard kind of deal. And she would be able to connect with students in a way that I have never seen another human do. She would remember someone from a college fair 3 years earlier and remember their major. And she would be able to say, hey, how are things going with your econ major? Did you get in touch with Professor XYZ? And the person would be like, holy cow, how does this lady who I barely remember me, my name, my major, and what motivates me? Wow, I want to surround myself with people. And you know what would happen several years later? She created the Bobcat Ambassadors. That same person would come in and say, I want to work for you. Right? So changing that suction is essential, but A, leading by example, B, connecting on a deeper level, or 3, and this is the hard part, and this is not something we can always do in our work life, but you know what? Pull the cord. You don't always have to be around these people when they call, unless you're related to them, that keep sucking your energy, okay? Unless it's your mother, you don't have to take that call, okay? Right? So listen, quick story. I'll be fast for the next question. But you know, when I got the new iPhone way back when it first came out, okay, so I had the flip phone or whatever, and the SIM card didn't match up. I don't know a lot about technology. I'm sorry. Ben Norris helped me out. We don't know a lot about, I don't know a lot about technology, but taking the SIM card from the flip phone and putting it to the iPhone, it wasn't compatible, okay? So the person at the iPhone store said, you're gonna have to manually enter all of your contact information in. And I had some like 800 contacts. I said, man, it's going to take forever. I don't want to do that. Okay. So I had to kind of have this mental checklist of say, okay, does this person make the grade? Do I need them? Are they related to me? Do they lift me up? And if the answer is no, okay, then they didn't make the new phone. Okay. And in your life, maybe that's what you have to do. Maybe you have to decide who you're going to cut. And you know what? It's not always a bad thing. In order to level up, that's what you got to do anyway. If you do what you've always done, you'll get what you've always got. That's not my quote, but I love it. All right. So level yourself up. Maybe you cut those suckers. Okay. Because guess what? They suck. Remember? Okay. Sorry. Go ahead. Do you have another question for me? Sorry.
I don't have any in the chat, but is there anyone that would like to unmute and ask a question?
It's Heather. I just wanted to say thank you so much. I did talk to him briefly before we started that I had a little wild child that went to Little Dragons who within one session was completely changed. It was amazing. And my husband and I always say, Rick Rando should be a teacher. I mean, we need to duplicate him a million times over and put him in every school. But thank you. And I, sat there in a lot of Little Dragons classes, seeing what you did for the kids. And I really appreciate that you just did that for us as adults. So great job. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate that, Heather. And, I'll just leave you with one more thing, okay? Since, look, it's kind of weird on this platform, where nobody wants to chime in and say something, and because everybody will judge what's behind them in your screen. So you have this, yours is all blurred out. That's pretty cool. I should have done that, but I got things behind me that I want you to see. I was coaching my son's baseball team a couple years ago, and I will tell you that I've never actually played baseball. I think deep down when I was a kid, I always wanted to, but I was always too busy, and outside sports were just not our thing. I played in the band, and I was doing martial arts, and trying to get straight A's so I could get a good scholarship, to come to Frostburg State. And I was coaching my son's baseball team, and at the end of the season, the team did really well. Okay, but all the other coaches there were 4. And they all were big, typical big burly guys, and they had muscles and chest hair and could hit the ball. And, at the end of the season, they said, we're going to have a home run derby. Okay. And we're going to see which coach can hit the most home runs. Okay. So at that moment, when they said that, I was trying to look for excuses of why I was not going to do this home run derby. Okay. 1, my son was watching. Okay. 2, I wasn't, I've hit a ball, and stuff, and I've done it, but I've never had somebody like live pitch to me. And it just wasn't going to be good. Okay. So anyway, it was the last day practice. All right. It was this little league field, all that kind of good stuff. All right. I said, okay, well, here's the thing. I'll just pitch. I'll just pitch to everybody. Okay. And oh, no, you got to do it too. You got to man up, Rando. Let's go. Come on, karate man. You got good hand-eye coordination. Let's go. I said, okay, well, let me go first. Because in my head, I'm thinking, all right, if I go first and I strike out and all that stuff, maybe the kids won't remember. Maybe my son won't think, well, you're a loser, Dad, because all the other coaches are hitting, Babe Ruth home runs and you were swinging and missing. Okay. So I thought to myself, all right, they all went and got the really big bats, I said, well, if I get a little bat, maybe I could swing it faster. And this is just analytical self me. So I said, I'll be first. But you know what? They had this group of balls. They had the really good balls and the really crappy balls that they were going to throw at us. I said, okay, I'll go first. Throw me the really bad balls. Okay. So I thought, okay, maybe I can blame the ball. So in my head, I had sort of set myself up for every type of failure, every type of excuse. So when we were finished, right, I could say, okay, son, well, I had your bat and it's not as big as the other ones. And they throw me the bad balls and I went first. I was a little nervous. Okay. I'm going through all the scenarios in my head to say to my son, who at that point is 7, who can still save face with Dad, and he doesn't understand that I've never played, because he doesn't understand, well, you're a coach. You should be able to play, right? You should, because you're one of our coaches. You're telling us what to do. So anyway, it's my turn. I'm going to throw 10 pitches, little league field. Through the first pitch, boom, I made contact, okay, but it didn't go very far. It just kind of went and trickled up. The second one I hit, boom, and it kind of went to the outfield. I'm thinking, all right, hey, I might be able to do it. I might be able to, at least get it out there, Third one, boom, went all the way out, hit the fence. So at that point, I am so ramped up. I am so excited because I've seen results. Even though little, I've seen something that says I can, okay? I hit 4 home runs for the rest of the time. I don't know, where they went or, how far over. They didn't go it wasn't like a major league, it's a little league field, whatever. But here's the thing. And the reason I share the stories with you is my son, when I did that, he ran to the outfield. He climbed over the fence and he retrieved one of those balls sitting right here. This is my ball from that day, okay? And it's in my case and it's all beat up and I don't know if you can see it. It's just the most mangled ball ever, okay? And it sits on my dresser, not because I hit a home run and I want everybody to know. It's because I didn't think I could, but I needed to. I didn't think I could make a change. I didn't think I could do that because of all the excuses I had. I was ready with all the excuses why I couldn't come and show up on time to work, right? Why I couldn't talk to someone. Well, it's Corona. I don't want to get too close. I don't want to talk about their cat. I could offend them, right? I don't want to send an email to another guy saying, man, I appreciate you. You're awesome, because we're guys and we don't do that, okay, right? Have all the excuses already lined up. Right? But when you start making little changes and you start seeing impetus and growth in a certain way, big things happen. So get out of your comfort zone. Be different tomorrow. Be different today. Stop making excuses for who you are and start making changes for who you want to be. So I just want to say that. And I just want to say that One of the coolest things I own is because today and tomorrow I can make a difference. And you can too. One world, one university, a world of opportunity, right? So thank you guys for having me. I really appreciate your time. Thank you for listening. If you're still listening, you get an A+. You're a fire starter. If you clicked off, energy sucker, okay? We can see, we see the little squares, okay? Right, we see the squares.
We do. Thank you, Rick, so much. Yeah, I don't really know how I could even follow that up with any kind of appropriate closing, to be honest. But, you know, I know you said a lot today that I needed to hear, and I'm sure others too. And I really appreciate your time today. And as we continue in this time of uncertainty, hopefully coming into the light, I thank you for trying to inspire all of us and keeping us motivated here today, even in this virtual format. And hopefully someday we can be face to face and have do the same thing for us. And we can hug at that time. So
I'm a hugger. Shannon, we're hugging. Okay?
Yes, we are hugging.
Right? I don't know when, but I owe you a hug. Okay.
Me too. If I owe you, I'm back. All right. Well, thank you so much. And we really appreciate your time here today. And thank you to all the faculty and staff and potentially other USM employees who might be joining us from a different institution for welcoming Rick. And let's give Rick that seal clap in the air or whatever it's called to thank him virtually for coming today and being with us.
Thank you. Good?
I think we're good. Thank you so much. People
My
are
pleasure.
still leaving this
Is that what you had in mind?
It was actually absolutely what I had in mind. And I think I advanced the slide and don't even know how I did that. So.
Thank you so much. That was, I think, really well needed for so many people.
Indeed.
Well, my pleasure. Sometimes we just have to go back to basics and being a good human being, you know?
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people during this pandemic have forgotten how to do that. They forgot, you know, I was at the bank and I was making this deposit a couple of weeks ago and I was going through and the machine, it wasn't working right. So it was the First People's machine where you have to, I don't know if you know this, but you have to touch the screen. It's not like a tube or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So anyway, it kept spitting my checks back out. And I was there probably like 3 minutes. Well, anyway, you know, there was 2 cars behind me. This guy gets out of his pickup truck, 2 backs, and he smacks my vehicle. He said, "What the hell's going on up here?" He starts screaming at me. I'm like, "Buddy," I'm like, "I'm just trying to," it keeps spitting the checks out. "Well, this is ridiculous. I've been here 15 minutes. I said, "Okay, time out. You haven't been here 15 minutes. I've been here only 3 and you're 2 cars back. Second, it's not my fault, okay? The machine is, and the lady in the other end in the little magic building here is working with me, okay?" And I said, "Third, everything's gonna be okay. There are bigger things in life to get upset about." And then the guy, here's the story. The guy realized who I was. He was a grandfather of one of our students. And then, so it's because I didn't have my mask on because, you know, nobody's approaching me or whatever. He had his mask on when he came up. So anyway, he slunched over, he went back in and he got into his truck. Well, anyway, several weeks later, he's sitting here at the studio on the side. So I'm going around and one of the times I'm just asking him, "Hey, have you a question? Anybody have anything, any way we can serve you today?" And of course he looks up, he goes, "I wasn't there 15 minutes. I said, "Yeah." I said, "It's okay." I said, "Everybody has a moment of weakness." He goes, "I just want to tell you, you're an amazing human being. And I'm so glad that you didn't get out of my car and punch me in the nose." I said, "Well, you know what? I wouldn't have done that anyway." I said, "But you know what? There are bigger things in life. It's going to be okay. It's going to be okay." So anyway, just want to share that with you. You guys have a wonderful day. If you need anything else from me, obviously let me know. Okay, Shannon?
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay.